Shalom, giving all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach Kodash, double honors unto the elders and apostles, great most and all well. Shalom to the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel, and the rest of the elect destined to be saved under Brother Caleb from the GMS UK London Forecasters Camp. Back with another lesson to help edify those of which I spoke of. I always like to open by saying that we are the real Hebrew Israelites, and the real Israelites are your so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, West Africans predominantly. But you will find Israelites that do look like the other nations, because we as a people have been scattered among all the nations throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite, no matter what you may look like. Because Numbers chapter 1 and verse 18 tells you that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. So earlier on today, I was getting in a car, and as I got in the car, I heard the news playing on the radio, and I heard a story about a man who was jailed for, I believe it was 22 years, for murdering his wife because he found out she was having an affair. And when I heard that, I caught the tail end of the article. I didn't manage to catch it all. But immediately in my spirit, I thought something was off about that judgment. Because in this society, it's as if adultery is not punished. Now, there's laws in the Bible regarding what's supposed to happen in cases of adultery. And according to the law of the Bible, adultery is a sin unto death. Now, obviously, we know that in this society pertaining to Baruch 3 and verse 8, we are yet to stay in our captivity. So we can't keep and execute the laws of the Bible as we will in the kingdom to deter these things from happening. But the fact of the matter is that if you've got an occurrence that happens and there's no deterrent for it, then what's going to happen? And that crime's going to keep happening. It will go and it will become more and more prevalent. And that has been the case with adultery. It's been allowed to proliferate, if that's the word to use, to where now people are like, well, I'll commit adultery, and if I get caught, I'll just get a slap on the wrist anyway. And to be honest, they act as if adultery is a victimless crime, when it's a very serious crime. So serious to the point where it's a sin unto death. Now, I came home and I was meditating on this case, and I thought, you know what, I want to do a lesson speaking about it, because in the Bible there's a whole law dealing with the law of jealousy. You know, where if a man suspects that his wife is committing adultery, there was a whole process that the elders would go through to determine the case and if the wife had been committing adultery or not. In the ancient world, we had laws and systems in place to deal with these issues, but in the modern world, we don't have that. So now a man is basically forced. We're forced to live in a world where at any given moment, our possession, because a wife really is a possession, can turn her back on us and step out on us with another man, and we've got no recourse. There's no, for a man that's cheated on, what justice is there in this society? There's none, sadly. And when you meditate upon it in that light, you understand why certain people lose it and end up doing these things, such as what I'm going to describe in this article that I'm going to read here. This is BBC News. This is from BBC News. It says, husband who put body in suitcase guilty of murder. It says Suma Begum was dumped into the River Lee in East London. This was published on the 3rd of July 2024. So it says a man who strangled his wife for having an online affair and dumped her body in a river has been found guilty of murder. Now, in this society, they'd see that as a good thing. Oh, he murdered his wife. He's the villain. He's the criminal. Whereas in the law of the Bible, as I said, Although all things are lawful, they're not expedient at this point in time. But I'm just telling you how the law of the Bible works. According to the law of the Bible, what this man done would have actually been a righteous act, and he'd have been innocent because his wife was committing adultery against him. So it says, a man who strangled his wife for having an online affair and dumped her body in a river has been found guilty of murder. Now he is going off by strangling her because according to the law of the Bible, you're not supposed to strangle, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, Aminan Rahman, 46, from East London, attacked 24-year-old Sumaya Begum during a video call with her boyfriend last April, the Old Bailey heard. So this man caught her in the act. She was on a video call with her boyfriend, and she's already married to this dude. How is a man supposed to react to that, really? Well, let's read. The jury was told how Rahman put her into a suitcase after choking her, at which point she might still have been alive. Rahman is due to be sentenced on the 31st of July. So that makes sense as to why I heard this article on the news today, because today's the 30th of July. The court heard that Rahman had most likely killed Miss Begum there and then at the flat in Tower Hamlets on the night of the 29th of April 2023, but had at the very least incapacitated her before placing her body in a suitcase and dumping it into the River Lee. If not already dead, then she would have inevitably drowned, said prosecutor Jocelyn Laywood. The suitcase was found 10 days later by a member of the public, washed up on the riverbank downstream, still containing the body of Miss Begum. CCTV footage released by the Metropolitan Police shows Rahman leaving a block of flats, holding a child in one arm and pulling a suitcase with the other. A second clip shows him next to the river with a suitcase before throwing it in. Miss Begum had undergone an Islamic marriage over the telephone in 2019 when Rahman was in London and she was in Bangladesh, the court heard. They had first lived in Somerset as a husband and wife. Where Rahman worked as a chef before moving to East London in April 2023, where they stayed in a flat in the Docklands with their 2 children. So this was a married man, family, 2 children, and his wife starts having an online affair with another dude. The dude flips and strangles her, and this society sees him as the villain. Miss Begum had started an intimate online relationship with a man her own age, Shaheen Mia, who was living in the United Arab Emirates, and they hoped in due course to be together, said Miss Leewood. So she was creeping, man. And then she gets, what does the scripture say? Whoever perished being innocent, or where the righteous cut off. This woman wasn't innocent. Right, it says that now you get ready. On the night of Miss Begum's murder, her neighbours heard children screaming and a loud bang against the wall. The same night, the jury heard Mr. Mia received a WhatsApp video call from Rahman. When he gave evidence during the 1-month trial, Mr. Mia sobbed as he told jurors how Rahman threatened to kill Miss Begum, who was in the background of the call. She wanted to run away, and then he grabbed her by the throat, he said. The court heard how Mr. Mia received another call later that night, in which Rahman told him, "Look, I've already killed her, and now you get ready." Mr. Mia told the Old Bailey, "I saw froth coming out of Sumaya's mouth, and he showed me on a video he was swearing at me." Panicked, the jury was shown CCTV of Rahman leaving the flat that he shared with his wife shortly afterwards, carrying one of their children and pulling a large black suitcase. Further footage played of Rahman lifting the suitcase onto a metal barrier and pushing it into the River Lee. There is no dispute that Sumaya Begum was in the suitcase placed there by the defendant, said Miss Leeward. Giving evidence in his defence, Rahman claimed that his wife had demanded money from him to help her boyfriend join her in England. He alleged that she had threatened to hit their elder child unless he gave her $10,000. Rahman also claimed that he then grabbed his wife around the neck with both hands in order to defend the child when Miss Begum collapsed to the floor. Sounds like a weak defence, but hey. He then panicked and put her body in a suitcase, the court heard. Rahman pleaded guilty before his trial to a charge of preventing the lawful and decent burial of her body. Jealous rage. Now here's the point, see? That's why in the Bible there's the law of jealousy, which I'm going to get into. This is jealous rage. Following the trial, the Metropolitan Police said the video call made by Rahman was vital to securing his conviction. Detective Chief Inspector Kelly Allen, the lead investigator in the case, said once Ayman Rahman was swiftly identified as a prime suspect, my team of homicide detectives analysed hundreds of hours of CCTV to trace his movements before and after the murder. We also managed to retrieve and download the full video call Rahman made to Suma's believed boyfriend. This further proved he killed her in a jealous rage. It had been a challenging case, and the victim's loved ones had to endure a trial in which they heard graphic details on how her body was hidden by her husband, she added. So that's the article there. So my point being is that adultery isn't a victimless crime. In adultery, the man and the woman guilty of the adultery are supposed to be put to death according to the law of the Bible. Let me get Numbers, the 5th chapter here. But in this society, adultery is kind of rewarded. It's like if you can get away with it, it's all going to run. And if you get caught, all you get is a slap on the wrist. If that. This is Numbers, the 5th chapter, starting at verse 12. Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, if a man's wife go aside and commit a trespass against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, and be kept close, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the manner, and the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled, or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled. Here, see, this is how the law is supposed to work and officiate in matters of this nature. Then shall a man bring his wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her offering for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal, and he shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, and an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance. And the priest shall bring her near and set her before Yahweh. And the priest shall take the holy water and in an earthen vessel, and the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle, the priest shall take and put it in the water. And the priest shall set the woman before Yahweh, and uncover the woman's head, and put the offering of memorial in her hands, which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causeth the curse. And the priest shall charge her by an oath, and say unto the woman, if no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of thy husband, be thou free from this bitter water that causeth the curse. But if thou hast gone aside to another instead of thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lain with thee besides thine husband, then the priest shall charge the woman with an oath of cursing, and the priest shall say unto the woman, Yahweh make thee a curse and an oath among the people. And when Yahweh doth make thy thigh rot and thy belly to swell. And this water that causeth the curse shall go into thy bowels, and make thy belly to swell, and thy thigh to rot. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. And the priest shall write these curses in a book, and shall blot them out with the bitter water. And he shall cause the woman to drink the bitter water that causeth the curse, and the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her and become bitter. And the priest shall take the jealousy offering out of the woman's hand, and shall wave the offering before Yahweh, and offer it upon the altar. And the priest shall take a handful of the offering, even the memorial thereof, and burn it upon the altar, and afterwards shall cause the woman to drink the water. And when he hath made her to drink the water, then it shall come to pass that, if she be defiled and have done trespass against her husband, and the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thigh shall rot, and the woman shall be a curse among her people. And if the woman be not defiled, but be clean, then she shall be free, and shall conceive seed. This is the law of jealousies, when a wife goeth aside to another instead of her husband, and is defiled. Or when the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous over his wife, and shall set the woman before Yahweh, and the priest shall execute upon her all this law. Then shall the man be guiltless from iniquity, and the woman shall bear her iniquity. You see, there was systems set up in place to deal with matters like this. There was recourse for men who had their who felt like they'd had their possessions violated by another man. But in this society, there's none of that. There's nothing. You're basically left to just eat the L and get on with it. That's why there's no peace in this society, because how can there be peace in a society where all this wicked is going on, all this unrighteous dealing is going on, and there's no all this unrighteous dealing is going on, and there's no justice being executed? You know, it's a false balance, and a false balance is an abomination with the Most High. And when things are out of balance, there's no harmony, there's no peace, there's no rest. That's why, you know, oftentimes you might be feeling all agitated and uncomfortable in your spirit, because you might not even know it, but there's so many things going wrong, so many transgressions being executed, that it's just causing you to be off balance, like feeling all discombobulated in your spirit, because there's so much unrighteous dealing going on around us 24/7. You can't have any peace there, man. Micah 2:10 says, "Arise and depart, for this is not your rest. You know, for it is polluted, it shall destroy you even with a sore destruction." This is not our rest, man. But there's no rest there in this wicked world, man. And that's what we long for. We long for rest. We long for peace. We long for justice. We thirst for righteousness. This is 1 Corinthians 6:12. So although this man murdered his wife, that was a lawful thing to do in terms of the scriptures. But although it's lawful, it's not expedient in this society, because, as I said before, we are yet to stay in our captivity. We can't go around doing these things, taking the law into our own hands at this moment in time. But in the kingdom, the laws are going to be executed. So it says, 1 Corinthians 6:12, "All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. All things are lawful for me, but I will not be brought under the power of any." So read that again. It's just the first part I want. All things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. So although it is lawful to take his wife out for committing adultery with another man, it's not expedient at this given time. But in the kingdom, it will be very expedient. And the fact that the laws are being kept and officiated is what's going to deter people from committing these unrighteous dealings, these acts of adultery. Adultery is not going to be like in this society where people commit adultery as if they're just drinking a glass of water. You know, they don't even think twice about it anymore. Not so in the kingdom. In the kingdom, it's going to be order, and the laws of the Bible is going to be reestablished, and people are going to think twice, and thrice before doing any such wickedness. You see it, man. Just interesting article that I heard today as I was in the car on the news. But what was I going to say? The man got sentenced to 22 years, I think, for killing his wife. So he'll be in prison until Yahushua comes back and destroys this place. But really, what he did was lawful according to the law of the Bible. But anyway, this society is wicked, as we all know. But just, when you really get into it and meditate on it, man, it vexes you, because I feel for the guy, in the sense that you can tell he kind of, the jealous rage took him over. But, really, that was the fault of the wife for what she did to him. And a man that she was stepping out on him with, man. But as I said, in this society, there's no real punishment for adultery. Anyway, with that, giving all praises and all glory once again unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahushua Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh, double honors unto the elders and apostles, the great Muslim that will well. Shalom to the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel and the rest of the elect destined to be saved. And I'll catch you on the next lesson, Lord willing. Shalom for now.